Center for Entrepreneurship at the Technische Universität Berlin, and my topic is Startup Support at TU Berlin. CFEs is the abbreviation for Center for Entrepreneurship. CFEs incubation process in the online world. This is just the, well, don't be scared. This is a short agenda. I have one slide per each point, and I will introduce our Center for Entrepreneurship, explain what are our main topics we worked on. Then I introduce some formats for students and requirements for entering our incubation process. I explain where we are situated in Berlin, how the incubation process for startups look like, how the funding looks like, and what are the three main grants, Berliner Startup Stipendium and Exist grants. Then I introduce startup and science and startups, what we offer to our grantees, and what the pandemic challenge brought to us. And then you are welcome, of course, to ask questions afterwards, because it's a huge topic, and I think I will just tell you a little bit of everything. So knowledge and technology transfer is a very important part of the TU Berlin's mission statement. There's a mission statement and there's a chapter which is called Practice-Oriented Knowledge Transfer. And I just read this very short piece out of this chapter. We as technical university, we promote the transfer of knowledge and technology between our university and practice. So we form strategic alliances with companies, university and non-university research institutions. And then maybe the most important phrase here for us, the Center for Entrepreneurship, we, Technical University, we promote the transfer of innovation through spin-offs and support the member of TU Berlin in setting up companies. So we, as a Center for Entrepreneurship, we try to make it real, and we are the place to contact, to come to if someone at the university is interested to become an entrepreneur and to start up a company. So Center for Entrepreneurship consists of or is based on two pillars. On one side, there is the Chair for Entrepreneurship and Innovation Management. As Professor Dienel already said, the chairs are the most important entities at the university. So on one side of the Center of Entrepreneurship, there's this academical part, Chair for Entrepreneurship, and on the other side, this is my team, Startup Support, or Gründungsservice in German. So the Academical Pillar is offers research and publication where PhD students work and study and teach. And there's, of course, teaching, and there's a master program that students can apply for: innovation management, entrepreneurship, and sustainability. So this is the theoretical, the academical part. And on the other side, the team where I work is a startup support. So we focus on sensitization of students and qualification. We offer different seminars and masterclasses. Consulting is the heart of our work. So I will explain it a little bit later more in detail, and innovation and transfer management. So as you see, at the TU Berlin, we at Center for Entrepreneurship, we pool the competences in the area of entrepreneurship from academic research, from teaching, and startup support. In the team, in a bigger team where I work, there's also a team that works explicitly on transfer services. So what does it mean? The first step is sensitization. It means my colleagues go to chairs, to professors, and talk to them and see which kind of projects there are, which might be supported with further fundings. They develop together, they identify together a specific transfer area and ideas, and see which ones could be could be taken for application for other projects. Then these projects mostly need also other partners from not only from universities, so industry and other research partners. So there is a search for these partners, and the last step is done initiation of the transfer funding. So this is a small but important part of my team. And another part of my team where I personally work is startup support itself. So the difference to the first one, to the transfer services, is that here we have projects and ideas which are much closer to the time of realization of it. So if it's just a transfer project, well, just maybe not the right word. If it's a transfer project, then they need much more time still to develop the idea, to research, to make more research. In startup support, we ask the teams or people that come to us, how much time and how much effort do you still need to get to the market, to sell your idea? And if it's about 1 year, maybe less, maybe a little bit more, then we are the right place to help startups. So startup support begins also with sensitization, when we go to the lectures where we introduce ourselves and says, okay, maybe later on during your studies you have an idea, so come to us if you want to make it real, if you want to make a business idea out of it. And when they come to us, we give them feedback. We check their requirements, if they are already eligible for any type of funding. And then later on, if everything is clarified, they have an admission pitch, and the CFE jury decides if they are already far enough to get introduced to our incubation process. And then at the same time, when they get accepted to the incubation process, they apply for a funding. So having a funding and being in the incubation process belong together. And during the incubation process, there's an advanced support, which I will introduce further. So what kind of sensitization formats for students do we have? There are different types, and a colleague of mine works explicitly on this format. So one of them is, for example, Startup Monday is a network event which takes place every month during a lecture period, and it's about presenting one of our startups. And there are also students and other interested people coming there to see the startup, to ask questions. How is it? How did you do? What kind of challenges did you have on the way of becoming startups, and so on. Another format, for example, is Startup Day, is a bigger network event which takes place once a year. Each winter term, we have also lecture series, business model canvas, where students learn on an example of one specific idea, how to build later on a business plan. So they have different fields and they take their own idea and they try to answer all the questions which are important for each business idea. We offer also some idea competitions, like, for example, for Campus and Research to Market Challenge, where the students submit their first thoughts in several pages about the idea, and then we give feedback and see if there are some ideas which are worth of being supported with more effort. We have a prototype workshop or makerspace in another world, where hardware startups can use mechanical and electrical equipment. As I said, we consult also students on their business concepts. And there's startup school. This is quite an important part of our work. Startup school is a series of different workshops on different topics, like, for example, marketing or legal issues or team building. So each of them can be attended separately. So in this startup school, so it's not a school, a physical school, it's just also at the moment a digital one where everyone can participate for free also. And then we see if the idea is far enough, then we check if there's a funding program which is suitable for this idea. So this is for students. And then when they say, okay, we have worked long enough on our idea and we would like to enter the incubation process. So what does it mean? The most important requirement is they need to have an innovative technology or knowledge-based idea. So we're at the technical university, so technology is our focus. They need to have already a university degree, a bachelor or master. They cannot apply for a startup fund during their studies, so only in exceptional cases, because this funding should not be, now I forgot the word, so they need to graduate first and then start on their ideas, and not quit their studies and say, oh, okay, now I want to become a businessman. So university degree, they need to have a team for this funding and the incubation process. The company cannot be already registered. This is also one of the important requirements, and no revenues yet. And they need also one of the professors or chairs at the university as a technical mentor, because we support them with the entrepreneurial knowledge and advices, and they need someone who understands the technology they work on, the technical mentor. The further requirements we check in a long interview together with the teams, if they clearly defined the customer problems, if they know to whom they're going to sell, if they have already first working or just first the prototype. Very important that they know why their product is different. So what are the unique selling propositions, significant unique features? Since several years, we work also on triple impact. So what does it mean? Triple impact is that we want that our startups do not only think about the economical benefit, profits of their ideas. It's important that they think also on the ecological and social impact of their ideas. And there we worked with 17 Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations. We check if the idea is scalable and has good chances for success. And for some ideas, for some project ideas which come from high risk research development, there's a possibility to apply for funding with a higher budget. It's exists Forschungstransfer. So where are we? So what are the startup locations? If you can see me maybe later after my presentation. So now, so I have in the background our co-working space. So if you see, there are some chambers now. There's no one at the moment, still pandemic, but soon hopefully it will be full. So it's a co-working space opened 2.5 years ago for about 15 teams, and workshop, which I already mentioned, staff office, meeting rooms, and event hall. We have also different other locations with startup offices and meeting rooms, and we have also special container. This is the third one. It's IncuLab for chemistry startups. And there's also a possibility that the startups work directly at chairs, so we call it startup islands, where they are close to their professors, their mentors. But in general, they have a workplace in one of our locations. So startup process, incubation process, which I already mentioned, I would like to introduce this. It was developed several years ago already, and is very helpful to guide our startups during the funding time, during the incubation process. Sorry, this one is in German. I think we didn't have the English one yet. So after the admission pitch, this is the stage of preparation for the funding, application for the funding. Later on, when the funding has been approved, there's a validation stage, the first one, the very important one, in which one, the startups need to go and talk to their potential customers, need to validate their customer problem, need to validate the product features. So at the end of this stage, which lasts about 4 months, they know exactly, okay, I'm on the right way, and there are customers who are expecting my product, and I know exactly what my customers want. So the next stage would be afterwards investor readiness stage, where we work on financial documents with our startups so that they're prepared for investor interviews, because normally after the funding is over, there's still a financial need. They need some more funding, and it's important that they take care of this investment already during the actual funding. And then there's a stage, access to finance and business, when the pilot projects with first customers work. Maybe there are already first revenues. Anyway, the product should be ready by now and already have somehow on the market. And afterwards, when they're finished and the funding time is over, we call it the next stage return on investment. It doesn't mean financial reinvestment. It means that we invite our startups, our alumni startups, to give the knowledge back, to give the experience back to those startups who just were in the beginning of this process. So funding programs for startups, we have at the moment 3 of them: Berliner Startup Stipendium, Exist Startup Grant, and Exist Research Transfer Grants. All of them have a little bit different requirements, but in total they have the same objectives. First of all, it's of course important that the prototype will be further developed, and also maybe to a minimum viable product, already to a ready product. Then the triple bottom line innovation should work as a business idea. Triple bottom line is what I meant with this economical, ecological, social impact. The startup should be prepared for market entry and should secure an investment. I introduced very shortly these 3 programs. So Berliner Startup Stipendium is being allocated in a university alliance together with Humboldt University, Freie University Berlin, and Charité. Is funded by the Berlin Senate Department of Economics for Economics, Energy, and Public Enterprises, and by the European Social Funds. So the money is not coming from the university, but coming from the government. And there are 2 to 3 application calls each year, and grants are given for 6 or 12 months. And the other 2 grants exist, Startup Grant and Research Transfer Grant. They have a higher budget. They are allocated by the project agency Jülich, funded by the German Ministry for Economics and Energy, and by the European Social Fund. They have, as I said, a higher budget, and they have also additionally a budget for material sources. And they're given for 12 months or 18 plus 18. So the second one, transfer grant, is quite a longer program with a higher budget. Science and startups. I mentioned also alliance with other universities in Berlin. Last year, we founded startup support services of these universities, funded a science and startups alliance, like an alliance in the alliance. There's alliance of the universities, and there's also a smaller alliance of startup support services of these universities. We have the objective to transform the top level research of these universities into scalable, sustainable, long-lasting startups. And we are a place to go to consult for science-based spin-offs or startups. We offer different events and networking events helping them to find new team members and to educate themselves further. So what do we offer to our grantees when they are in our incubation process? There are workplaces, which I already introduced, different locations. We offer them our infrastructure, university infrastructure. Each team has a lead consultant. So if they have questions, they can address this person, and they work together during the whole incubation process. We have consultation hours with investors and other experts from industry when they come and meet our startups, master classes, workshops, seminars in the startup school, which I already mentioned. And we have an online platform where we inform our startups about all relevant events in Berlin or in Germany, about competitions and other meetings. We present our startups on our webpage and try to promote them also in social media channels. In a normal time, which hopefully comes soon, there will be visits of companies who come to us and see our startups. And our startups have also the possibility to exhibit with TU Berlin at different trade shows. And there are also special offers in cooperations with other partners. So pandemic challenge, the online world. So in March last year, we asked ourselves, oh my God, all our services are actually in person. So how do we gonna manage to work with the teams to continue with our incubation process without seeing each other in our startups? And now in June, one year later, I can say it has worked surprisingly well. So we tried to manage to continue with our incubation process, to continue with supporting our startups. Pandemic challenge made almost all processes available online. We tried to transform all services one by one in the digital twins, as I call it, and through video calls and conferences, it was possible to do networking, to continue with the incubation process, to offer lectures and consulting. But still, even if we managed to do this small closing remark to this topic, so personal contacts are irreplaceable. So we miss our startups, we miss each other, we miss our teams, my team members, and hopefully we are soon there and see each other. And just some numbers for you, startup support. We were founded 2007. So since then we supported over 170 funded startups. So there's a small difference between just mentored startups and mentored and funded, because not each startup that we mentor receives a funding. So over 170 funded startups. In the last 3 years, we have an average 30 to 35 mentored startup each year. And they still continue to register companies. Even last year, 2020, which was a difficult year, there were 10 young startups that registered their companies. One of them will present soon after my presentation. So 90% of all startups that are being funded, they register a real company, and 3/3 of them, 75%, are still on the market after 3 years, so which makes us very happy, and it means our work is successful. So at the moment, in June, I counted yesterday, so we have 19 funded teams in the incubation process, and also about 19-20 in the preparation. So just teams which are being mentored, but still have funding.